right into Tamar Braxton, Get Your Life, episode 3. So it starts off with a screen saying that communication has been extremely limited between Tamar and the producers since they last filmed a few days before. They show up to the house and apparently the house is empty. So at 9:45, Michael receives a call. Michael is the producer. He receives a call from Tamar's lawyers asking them to vacate the premises. Latoya, the black female producer, asked them, is it just for today or is it forever? And Michael doesn't seem sure. You see Michael outside on the phone with the EP, telling him in Tamar's text, she says, I can't talk. No one listens to me. It's very frustrating. The show means everything to me too. I hate that I lost my voice. And the EP says, well, that's the point of the show. We want to see your ups and downs and everything you go through in this process. Another 2 days have passed by, and she's back over at her house going through her schedule with her assistant. And, you know, she's going over the facts of, like, she wants a 3-hour rehearsal, she needs more time. And then they're walking around the house. It's almost like she's doing a show of her house or something. And because earlier when they said the house was empty, I wasn't sure if they meant that all her furniture was gone, because I was like, okay, she's back 2 days later and all the furniture's there. I was a little bit confused, but I'm assuming it just meant that she wasn't in the house. But she's walking around with the assistant. Come to find out that Miracle has taken a deuce on the carpet. So she calls David and it's like, okay, Dave's over here, he's shitting on my floor. I'm sorry. Miracle's over here dropping deuces on the floor. And David makes it known that when he has Miracle, he walks Miracle in the day and night, so he has time to do his business out on the street. So she was like, okay, well then you need to come pick up Miracle. And I thought it was really interesting because I remember watching Tamar and Vince and seeing how much Vince loved that dog Miracle. He loved him some Miracle. And Tamar did not like Miracle very much, so I find it very interesting that she's ended up with Miracle, and now he's become David's problem. So Tamar and Goldie go to Maryland for the sold-out show, and the only crew member that goes along with them is Michael. Tamar doesn't like being back in Baltimore because it brings up all these bad memories from when her niece died, and at that point it'd been like 7 months. It was super recent. In the confessionals, Goldie says that she believes Tamar really believes in the dream work and that you don't know what the journey is gonna pull up for you. So 4 hours before showtime, Tamar has a very challenging sound check, and then David flies into town. However, David goes to meet Tracy's husband, Kevin, which Tamar knows nothing about. They go and they meet at a restaurant. David claims that he gets along with her family, but there's still work to be done. I don't believe he gets along with her family at all. The two men connect over their relationship with the sisters, and we learn that the two of them have been estranged for nearly a year. Kevin asked David why they don't come to the house since they're in town, and he said because of what happened in Napa Valley, and family does not do that. So we see a flashback of when Tracy almost had a whole meltdown. She had a meltdown during that trip in Napa Valley, and Tamar was like, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore. And then David asks Kevin what happened, and then we go back to the contract. And here we go again with this damn contract. I've never been so tired about hearing something. I can understand to a point why she would be upset about it, but at the same time, it's like, why would you expect your sisters to sacrifice their dreams for your choices? You chose to be in this relationship and end up pregnant, and the way the music industry was at the time, it just wasn't accepted. It sucks. It's bullshit, but that's what it was. You can't be mad at them for that. I think it's time for her to get over that. But Kevin makes a statement that was real, it was really deep. He says, Tracy feels like they don't believe in her, they don't believe in her marriage, they don't believe in her as a mother. And if that, I don't believe that that's true, but that has to be a lot of pain. I think a lot of the things that happened with Tracy is more to do with those areas than it is to do with her that contract situation. Like I could understand that more than her consistently harping on this thing that happened 25 years ago, or however long ago that was. I also noticed in the scene that Kevin is a Mason. He was wearing his little Mason necklace, which was really interesting. So he says that so they end up talking about him and Tracy coming to the show, and he's like, yeah, we'll come to the show, or we can be up. They start making plans. So it sounds like everything's going good. They both agree that if Tamar and Tracy fix their relationship, it would heal the whole family. So they're on the same page with this thing. David talks about the difference between Nigerian families and American families, and how Nigerian families like to bring the two families together, and American families are more comfortable with cutting people off. And then it made me think about Wendy's family in Housewives of Potomac with her husband, and the beef that their two mothers have, and the fact that his mother hasn't even seen his children. So I need him to really think about, the dynamics of Nigerian families. Families go through things. It doesn't matter where you're from. No set of family is better than the other. So it would be nice if everybody was perfect, but that's not the case. David. So after Tamar's difficult sound check, Goldie and her attempt to have a relaxation session. The cameras aren't allowed inside. We just hear the audio from the outside. After that, she has another sound check, which seems to go amazing. And then after that, Tamar has an amazing show. However, none of her family show up. That says a lot. That her dad didn't show up, her brother, no one showed up. So there's a lot going on there that we're not hearing about. After the show, Tamar's super excited. They're in the green room or what have you, and she's talking up Goldie and the fact that she thinks that the show went great, and she believes what she would say. So David's sitting there giving the side eye, and he says that Tamar is so open and so trusting that often you have people coming in that shouldn't be there. Very often they have their own agenda. And for me, that includes you with your 10 locks, boo. I mean, you should never trust somebody who wears sunglasses at night inside, okay? Tamar and David are in the middle of an argument. And I really despise seeing how religion can make a reasonably intelligent person seem really stupid and ignorant. He's basically telling Tamar that he doesn't want his family to be around it. He doesn't want his family looking any kind of way, looking crazy on television. And that he's seen real voodoo. And look how in Hollywood, how much people dabble in the occult. And what if Goldie is a witch? The makeup artist says, somebody told Goldie not to be around here wearing all black and stuff. And here walks in Goldie with a black jacket on and a witchy looking hat. It was priceless. So they take Goldie into another room and give her one of Tamar's jackets, a pink jacket, to make her look less witchy. It was so demeaning. Before that even happened, sorry. She asked Tamar, because I guess when Goldie comes in, she hangs up on David. So, Goldie sees that she's upset. She's asking her what's wrong. She tells Goldie that she didn't have a dream last night, and that David's apprehensive about the dream work, but they already knew that. David calls back, and he's on speaker and continues the discussion. Goldie is whispering to Michael and is saying that, it's not even about religion. The work is about creativity, but she's speaking quietly. So Tamar turns around and gets catches an attitude with her, like, y'all not gonna do that because I'm not gonna have David feeling disrespected and whatnot, like, you should leave the room or what have you. And so Goldie's like, okay, cool, chill. And that's when they take Goldie in the other room and give her another jacket to wear. So David says he doesn't want to tell Goldie on camera that he doesn't think her methods are godly, because it could really affect her business, and that by him doing that, Tamar would be allowing him to destroy her business. So Goldie is like she's physically upset by this, and she says she doesn't want her business destroyed, and that she can't do this. Like, she just can't do this. And Tamar leaves the room at this point and is completely exhausted by the conversation she's having with David. Goldie tells Michael her teacher told her that they were going to make fun of the work, and there's too many successful actors in DreamWork that would be offended by being shamed like this. She's saying that it's against God and it's witchcraft, and she's worked so hard. She came up as a model and an actress, and she worked with huge actors, and Sofia Coppola made movies based on dreams, and she can't work like this. And Tamar calls Michael into the room, and she's like, I can't. This network has effed up my family, and in so many ways, he doesn't want his family to go on TV and look like a bunch of idiots, which is understandable. I could understand that. Michael says that they can separate David's family from the dream work, so there doesn't have to be an issue. I guess what they're trying to do is see David's side of the family and how they interact with Tamar, so they can get to know him more, so we can get to know him more. So for me, what I've seen in David at this point is that he really feels like he's above American Black people. But to me, it's like you follow the same religious customs, so how do you figure you're any different? So at this point, Goldie is in tears. The makeup artist is consoling her and reassuring her that she's going to be able to do this job, that even though it's tough, there's a reason why she was called to do it, and that she's amazing at what she does, and that they love her. I'm not even sure if I'm going to put this part in, but just so you know, that in all religious texts, there's an underlying statement, like there's an underlying meaning or a code in all of them. And what occultism is knowing the underlying meaning of a text. That's the basic meaning of occultism. Now, what a person does with information is up to them. Just like Christianity isn't inherently good, occultism isn't inherently bad. So I would implore you to do your research instead of just hearing a blanket statement or a word and assuming it means something. That's just something I've done. If I don't understand something, or I found that I had a negative connotation to it, I would go and educate myself on it. So I wouldn't just believe something that people would say and they have no clue they damn self, like David. At this point, Tamar is over David. She don't want to speak to him. She's tired. So Michael calls David and says, I think you really have a misunderstanding about what this work is. I think that you should come and see what Goldie does so you can have a better understanding of it. So he reluctantly agrees. Michael brings the phone to Tamar, and David tells Tamar that, he's willing to come and see the work and whatnot. She's like, okay, cool, because Goldie's over here. She's upset. I don't believe she has the intentions to trick anyone. She really likes you. She really likes me, and this is not what she's about. So he continues talking, and Tamar just waves away the phone like, I don't even want no parts. At this point, Goldie's in the other room crying and feeling like she should quit, that the boundaries have been crossed, and she feels like she's dealing with other people's opinions instead of doing the work. But she bends down beside Tamar and she's like tearful. She's like pleading with her almost, and talking about how she feels hurt and that she doesn't like that she's being shamed for the work. Tamar claims that that's not exactly what's happening, that she doesn't have a full understanding of what is actually going on. But honestly, that's part of what's happening, even if you can't see it. And Goldie feels like she's being sabotaged. So she complains to Michael about the obstacles and how having to wear a jacket so she doesn't look like a voodoo priestess, and the fact that that's not normal. So then, with all this commotion going on, they must have called Mona. So Mona comes down to the house to find out what the hell's going on. And as soon as she comes in, you immediately felt like her calming energy, her presence, like, has come to fix it. So she starts getting clarity from Mona about David and his family, and it sounds like, I guess David must have given them too much information and the family had just decided that it was witchcraft. And Mona tells her that she has to figure out how she can stay focused. And every time she's dealing with something, it's not her issue, it's somebody else's issue. She then checks in with Goldie, and she said that Tamar's like a ray of sunshine, but everything around her is bringing her down to negativity. She needs to put her foot down, and when it comes to her work, she used to say, like, this is my dream work, and it's not your business. And I noticed that Tamar really does have this way of just letting people around her control what she's doing. But like, it's a thing of like, okay, this is the line, and you have to respect me and what I'm doing. She needs to have clear boundaries. So Tamar comes into the room where Mona and Goldie are, and Mona tells her that there's so much happening that they don't have access to. And sometimes there's an air of sabotage in the air that exists. So Mona needs to know if they're in this, like they said in the first episode, like once and for all. And Tamar's like, I don't know. And so Mona asks her, like, is Tracy coming to the party? I guess David is going to David's birthday. He's having a birthday party, and she asked her if she invited Tracy. She said that all she knows is she spoke to the rest of her siblings and her mother, and they ain't coming. She tells Mona that she's tired of chasing her family, and Mona asks her if she's willing to cut them off. And she said it's hard to talk about that on camera because of the baggage. She calls the camera crew the baggage, which I think is low-key shady as hell. Like, these people are working. They're here to help you. Like, you can say one thing about the network, but the camera people are there, you know, because you're recording your life. Like, that's their job. They can't help what they capture. But, you know, just in the sense of everything that's happened with Braxton family values and how it's like messed with their family, and then also things like her mother going to TMZ about Vince instead of having a conversation with Tamar. So I guess she now has a kind of, I can understand how that will make you reserved about what you say on camera and what happens on camera, especially when you're discussing your family and there's been so much damage that's happened there already. So Mona asks her how do they act when she sees them, and she's like, they don't see each other unless it's on camera. Mona says that she's not a therapist, but there is something emotionally unhealthy for her about accepting. What'd she say? Basically, Mona's saying that it's not healthy for her to accept that she's on the outskirts of her family. The Tamar breaks down and is saying there's nothing she can do about it, and she can't beg them to love her. You can never stop trying with family, but it hurts more when you're consistently rejected. So Mona gets her to open up about working on an assignment with Goldie towards aligning with her family. So David shows up and he's come to see Goldie. He talks in his confessionals about seeing people in Lagos paying a hefty price for success. And he's seeing them doing stuff like giving their goats and their chickens. And he's asking himself, what price will Tamar pay would it be his life? Will it be Logan's life? And I thought that was really fucking disrespectful that he said that. On top of the fact that clearly this man has never read the Old Testament. I'm not understanding like why he doesn't read this Bible that he loves so much. But yeah, so I'm left very disgusted by the idea of David. I'm glad that this show has happened, so maybe Tamar can really watch back and see the man that she was so in love with. And I'm really hoping this girl gets a lot of healing from this. And I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting for Tamar all the way. I hope that she gets some real good healing and that her family has really come around her in this time. But that's the end of this episode. Thanks for watching, you guys, and see you next week.